Okay, let's talk bass fishing here, specifically rigging worms. Worms are obviously some of the most popular baits in the freshwater world when you're targeting largemouth bass. But as you're reading here, there's multiple ways to rig them and they're all effective, but you got to know how to do it right. And you got to know when to fish them, what scenarios you're faced with. But anyway, I'm going to go over two of arguably the most popular methods, which are the Texas rig and the Wacky rig. So let's get right into it. We'll start with the Texas rig. First step, you want to tie on your worm hook. Now I've tied just a uni knot there, you can see. And you know what? Any knot works here, clinch knot, maybe a Palomar. Tie what you know how to tie. Don't try a new knot. You know, it's not going to make really that big of a difference here. Just as long as it's strong and you trust it. Now, we're going to take our worm, all right, and just insert that hook point into the nose. Very simple. Go down, I'd say no more than 1/4 inch, and come out of the side of the worm there. Now, very important now, you run the entire hook through the worm until you reach that eyelet that you've tied to and that knot. So the hook is going to sit out just like that. Now, turn that hook towards the body of that worm so that the point points towards that body. And instead of just reinserting that hook right in there, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to lay that hook flat alongside so that I can make a mental note of where to reinsert that hook. All right, so I know right there is where I want it, so that the hook lays flat, just like that. So I'm going to take that hook now with my thumb there. Be careful not to prick yourself. Put it through the hook and out. So that's the basis of your Texas rig, but we've still got a point exposed. So that's not a weedless rig right now. We got to make it a weedless, snagless rig. That's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So make sure we pull that shank back down and we nestle that hook point right against the body of that worm. That way the point is still exposed. So when you get a bite and you set the hook, it'll be there and you can set it. But as you're fishing it, you want it right alongside that worm there, just like this. Okay. And you know, it might kind of take a second to mess with it to make sure it's right, but you want it to lay right alongside there. Stealthy, effective. That's going to be a rig that you use a lot of the time, and it is just proven. So that's done. Let's go to the Wacky rig, which is totally different, but you know, still effective. You know, you can put this hook right through the middle of that worm. What I like to do is I take a rubber band. Now this is a big one, but you know, it's a red one. Just I wanted you guys to be able to see this. I'm going to double it up here so that just for our demonstration purposes. Okay. And now I'm going to take that worm and run it up that rubber band to where you want that hook point to go. So just about in the center, right there. Okay. So instead of taking that hook and putting it through the worm itself, you're going to put it through your rubber band here, in between that band and the worm. That way more of that hook is exposed. So when you get a bite, your hookup ratio is going to be a lot better. And I want to note now, this is an offset eye hook, so I've tied a snell knot, but you know, tie your knot. You know, don't try a knot that you can't tie. Just, you know, tie what you tie best. So that's your Wacky rig there. It's gonna, you know, it'll give you a totally different presentation, still very effective. And these two are going to cover a lot of your bases when you're bass fishing with these plastic worms here. But it's important to know how to tie both, how to rig both, and how to fish both. So hope you learned something. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for reading, and we'll see you next time.